There's another research that they added today, but some people were saying it's not working. I don't know if you guys saw this in the Starship tree. The Defiant got a new warp range boost. Don't know why the Defiant doesn't have the best warp range to begin with. I don't know why you would still want to increase that further. But I guess if you wanted to use your Defiant, maybe there's an expansion coming where you'll need the Defiant, possibly for throwing buffs, for solo Armada type stuff. Could be very helpful and useful. So they added a tree here to do additional warp range research for it. Although I have heard um, that this may not be working properly. But they did add it, and I don't think they announced it. There's also one other thing that they added that I don't think that they announced. We were talking about this earlier. So apparently now, um, okay, so I'm a fresh 25. Um, Mining ships get XP from mining materials. Well, got 429 XP. 429 XP. So now you no longer have to burn all your latinum leveling up your mining ships or have them parked with, ship XP crews in augment space or anything. So that is finally another quality of life addition that they have added to the game that was missing from the patch notes and they didn't tell anybody about. And it's actually really significant. And I'm really surprised that they're not making a bigger deal about that because that's going to make things a lot easier for players. Would Pike help getting more ship XP? I don't know. I mean, I'm using over here. I've got what ability? Oh, we're mining, so we can't see our abilities. Like that was good for 3,000. Increases the ship XP gained. I mean, I guess we can flip it around. All right, let's find out. Let's mine 1,000, or as close to 1,000 as I can get. That was like 1,100, I think, and that was good for 200 XP. And let's just say we take those people off and I just use him because his is only boosting it on. And let's go try and mine another 1,000. Now, it doesn't seem to give any type of benefit. So even having like Talon and Goon who give it a ship XP bonus doesn't seem like they're giving any other type of benefit here. Gained by the ship from fighting is what Goon does. Talon's ability here. See, her captain's ability just says increases ship XP gained by 15%. But regardless of the fact, you now have a new way to level up those mining ships without wasting your ship XP, without having to waste time killing hostiles or leaving them farming overnight, auto grinding augments and stuff. They are just going to naturally progress the way they should have 6 years ago through doing their activity and actually mining stuff. So this is pretty beneficial. And obviously, yes, it does vary based on what you mine. So when I was mining G4 materials there, I was getting, a smaller amount of points. If I move over here and I start mining some G5, this will probably be worth more points. You know, if I put stuff on G6 nodes, as Carissa points out, there's also a mining XP prime. Of course there is, right? Of course there is. What if there's a new feature? There's a new prime to make it more, lucrative. There's always a new prime. There's always a bigger fish, right? There's always a new prime. Yeah, so there's some G5 materials. That was actually like 2 or 3 thousand that I got, but that was worth 2,000 experience points. So again, I'm a higher level. I'm mining a higher quality of material, but then I can also, move over here and I can go mine some isogen. And this will also be worth XP points. Like there's five or so thousand, 6,000 almost. That was worth 90 XP, but again, it was super quick. So obviously there's some, you'll have to play around with it or just not have to worry about it anymore. You'll just go out, take your mining ships, do your regular dailies and your mining, and just know that they are making progress. So eventually, if you want to get them to a point where you can scrap them, it'll be a lot easier for you to do it. If you want to get those extra slots opened up so you have more below deck slots available for bonuses, that'll be easier for you to do. And if you just want to advance them further so you get their ship ability, which is usually something related to them mining, whether it's universal mining laser or it's a specialty miner like a Devore or a Meridian or something, they're just going to continue to get larger and larger benefits from that. The Defiant warp research is obfuscated. That's interesting. What is my warp range on my Defiant? Because now I'm curious. So at maxed out, my warp range on my Defiant is 547. Certainly not enough to get to any G6 space. And again, it's helpful for Krenum solos. It's helpful for Revenant solos, but at 547, I'm not even making it to the level 60 system. I can get to like the 58. Yeah, I can get to the 58, or I have to put Grush on it or something like that to get it to the 60. Nope, that's a priority. Wait, no, I do want that. That's a regular one. We can do that. If I were to go in here to my starship tree, and take this up a couple levels, oh, I'm glad the patch notes said that they fixed the issue and the glitch with sometimes using speed ups doesn't work. The smart speed up button where it gets stuck. That was in the patch notes that they fixed that. And you just saw it just fail right there. Because somebody was hitting the help button at the same time. Alright, so I just took it up 90. So it went from 547, it should go up to 630, but actually went up to 649 because I have other bonuses that are adding to my overall warp range. So if I took this research all the way, what do we say? We're getting extra 300. So that's going to get you over 900, maybe up to a close to, and then with bonuses, you should be close to like 1,000, which should help you at least get to like some level 62-ish systems. So it can get to G6 space. Maybe not as far as we would like it. You're still going to have to summon it, most likely, whether it's an Eviscerator or a Discovery that's got a bonus to it. Unless, of course, they add more things in the future, like Fleet Commander Kirk's ability or like Grush. But again, anything that boosts I mean, if I boost the base value to 1,000 and then I put Grush on it, well, now I'm suddenly getting to what, 1150? So that would also be pretty helpful in terms of getting further and further along. So again, it's a quiet win. It's certainly not something that's going to get players like, oh, thank God, this is real. This was the thing that was holding me back. I don't think that's the case necessarily, because there are workarounds for it. Obviously, you just get to, oh, see, there you go. I'm obfuscated. I can only get it to 190. In a minute, we're almost done. Is there a point for Defiant Warp Increase? Yes, we were just talking about that, Eric. We were saying so now your Defiant can reach further systems for boosting your Revenant or, for getting up here to boost your Krenim. So you can apply those solo Armada buffs or possibly even group Armada buffs. It just gives it a little more flexibility, a little bit more value. Add the quantum slipstream. There you go. That'll boost it even further if you really wanted to get it further out there. Yeah. So there are some ways to do it. I mean, obviously you don't want to go overkill with it. The Defiant isn't amazing, but its buffs do have a useful impact, a noticeable impact, and a useful bonus for doing some of those solo armadas. What's up, Rico? It's a nice gesture, but it's kind of ruined by being obfuscated. It's certainly designed more for the higher level players in order to still continue to use the Defiant and not just have it sitting on the shelf, right? It is more of an iconic ship. Let's see if we go to stfc.space. We go to research. Defiant warp range. So you can get the first 15 at 34, 36, 38, 42. At 48, you can get level 5 and get the plus 90, which would allow it to really get to more of the G4 and G5 content, having that extra 90. That's going to really get it out to some of those, maybe even as a primary ship for some players. They might make it out to further in Dominion space or even getting to some of those like G5 FKR armadas with that extra warp range there. And I think here's where you're going to hit your big, yeah. So 48 is level 5, and then level 6 right here is requires 61. So there's a big jump in the middle there. And then you're going from 61 to 65 for a very small upgrade here. And you have to take it all the way to 70 to get the final tiers and get it maxed out, which I think is overselling its value. I think at 65, you could pretty much have its warp range be maxed out. And that would get you, 1100, 1200, which is kind of equivalent to being able to go out here and kill some of this stuff, some mid-level G3 or G5 solos and stuff. This is where your first rares are at 1100. I think that kind of seemed reasonable. I think they over tightened that one a little bit for sure. Should have had it 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean it's a way of players loving the Defiant and not wanting it to feel like it's forgotten because it's such an iconic ship. And they keep making new versions of the Enterprise, so there's always new versions of that. And while Voyager has a very specific requirement for it, like the Defiant was kind of just pushed to the side and forgotten about. So now here's your opportunity to have a little bit more usefulness out of it.